For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. Colonel Serafimov was sitting by the old map when Ana suddenly rose to her feet. Her eyes clouded as if she were looking through hundreds of kilometers. "They are coming," she whispered. "Not for us, but for him." At that moment the lights went out completely. The underground complex sank into darkness. From the blackness came a metallic sound, like the door of a gigantic hall slowly opening. A silhouette took shape before them. A tall figure wrapped in a radiance that pulsed greenish. Her voice sounded directly in their minds. With no words but perfectly understood, "Erik is chosen. We do not abduct, we summon." Serafimov tightened his grip on his pistol, but Ana placed her hand over his. "If you shoot, we will lose everything. They want contact." Before the conversation could continue, heavy footsteps stormed down the corridor. Men in black suits and hats, Americans, entered the hall. Without introducing themselves, two of them were already training their weapons on the radiant figure. "Project Sentinel. Stand back," one snarled in English. And before he had finished the sentence, three men in leather coats and cold stares came through the opposite door. A Russian accent cut through the tension. "No one has a monopoly on the truth. This object is of interest to the KGB." The scene froze. In the center, the alien radiance. To the left, the American men in black. To the right, the agents from Moscow. And between them all stood Ana and Colonel Serafimov. Ana raised a voice that was not entirely hers. "You argue over control while the network is already activating. If you do not work together, the door will open fully." At that same instant the ground beneath them trembled. On the map hanging on the wall the lines shone as if alive. All the sites, Sarachina, Balintash, Perperikon, Shipka, Rupite, lit up at once. Serafimov realized the battle was no longer for one man nor for one nation. "Erik is the key, isn't he?" He shouted toward the radiant figure. The answer came like a thunder in their minds. "Erik is the bridge." Then the map exploded in light, and the entire hall was engulfed by the glow of an opening portal. Do you want the next part described as a mass confrontation, where the aliens, the CIA, and the KGB clash directly, or shall we keep the mystery and tension, emphasizing that Serafimov and Ana become intermediaries between worlds? The hall vibrated as if alive. Sparks poured from the walls, and the air was heavy with electric charge. The portal on the map was no longer an image, but a whirling vortex of light and shadow. The Americans quickly set up equipment, black boxes with antennas that began to hum. "We'll stabilize it," one agent shouted. "If the portal falls into the wrong hands, the world is lost." The Russians reacted instantly. They pulled out cylindrical devices with red symbols. "You will not decide for us," the KGB officer snapped. "The USSR has a right of access." The light in the center condensed. The alien figure was no longer alone. 3 more appeared, all tall with glowing eyes, moving to a different rhythm of time. They reached out their hands and the air tore with a sound that was not of this world. Ana fell to her knees, clutching her head. "They do not want war, but if we attack them, they will retaliate." Serafimov ground his teeth. He saw the Americans and the Russians already aiming their weapons at the beings. The air smelled of ozone, and the doorway between worlds pulsed like a heart. Then an image emerged from the vortex. Erik, but not the same. His eyes shone like those of the creatures, and his voice was deep and many-voiced. "I am the bridge. Through me they will speak. Do not shoot, or we will all die." The American agent screamed, "This is no longer a man." The Russian replied, "This is a weapon." "We are taking him with us." At that moment the portal emitted a shock wave that ripped the weapons from their hands and hurled them into the walls. The light intensified to blinding. Realizing he had but a moment to act, Serafimov grabbed Anna's hand and shouted at the 2 hostile groups, "If we do not stop our enmity, the network will unravel and the portal will consume us all." "They do not seek enemies. They seek conduits." Erik's figure stepped forward and extended a hand toward the colonel. "Choose, Serafimov. Either you will be our intermediary, or you will disappear with the world you know." Colonel Serafimov felt his whole body tremble from the unfamiliar energy. Ana squeezed his hand and whispered, "Do not be afraid. They do not want to destroy us. They want a voice." Erik's figure, or what he had been turned into, reached out. Serafimov drew a breath and stepped forward. The moment their fingers touched, time stopped. He was no longer in the hall, but in an endless darkness lit by stellar spirals. Voices, thousands and yet one, sounded in his mind. "Why are the keepers of the network? For thousands of years we have awaited a new intermediary. Your planet is a node, but your war obstructs the transition." Serafimov saw visions. The ancient sites Zarachina, Belintash, Perperikon, all connected in a radiant lattice. The portals were not doors for conquest, but for knowledge, for a new dimension of existence. At the same moment, in the physical world, the tension was escalating. The Americans had already turned on generators that emitted blinding pulses. The KGB agents were attempting to deploy their own device, a black metal cylinder they claimed could lock the portal. Ana stood between them. "If you switch on those machines, you will collapse the network. You will open chaos, not a door." But the men in black would not listen. Control or destruction. There is no middle way. At that instant the light around Serafimov flared. He spoke, but not in his own voice. He spoke the language of the beings, and his words were like an echo that made everyone in the hall freeze. "You humans are not masters of this portal. You are guardians. If you do not unite your forces, you will be erased from the lattice. The Americans and the Russians looked at each other, enemies forced to hear something that transcended their games. Erik stepped forward, his eyes shining. The choice is yours. The network will remain, but whether you will be part of it or dust in time depends on now. The hall began to crumble. The portal was widening, the metal doors cracking, the generators burning out from overheating. Serafimov felt that the moment of final choice had come. Either he would persuade his enemies to stop and join forces, or Vedosha would be the start of a catastrophe that would swallow all of Bulgaria and perhaps the world.